Now we're off to visit a man who was so enchanted with the original railroad signaling systems that he decided to make them a part of his layout.
The Clifton Forge Division Railroad is a huge game board, created and built by Mike Burgett. It's like a big chess game, except there is only one team playing.
Having all these different people that have to interact, the fun comes in, how close do we get at the end of the night to perfection, if you will. We probably fall short of that goal, but everybody walks away with a smile on their face, and we tend to get a little bit better as time goes on, and it's fun.
On any given Thursday night, the team is transported back in time to August 1965 to the C&O Railroad's Clifton Forge Division. The dispatcher hands out the assignments, and the railroad comes to life.
What we're trying to do is recreate a day on the railroad as it would have been in 1965. Trying to use the same sorts of procedures and practices. So the modeling that time and that place that I was never able to actually experience is my way of being able to experience it in a three-dimensional form. We run a 2-to-1 fast clock, so 1 hour of real time is actually 2 hours of model time. And we have a system built by Gene Lewis. The clocks on the railroad, the clock here in the dispatcher's office, is actually set to that. The dispatcher is responsible for coordinating opposing train traffic and locals needing time to work industries. All of the main track on the layout is shown on the board, and wherever a train would appear, there's a track indication light that will illuminate to inform the dispatcher that the train is in that section of track. And in this particular system, which is called centralized traffic control, which was developed in the late 1920s, he can control switches and signals to route the trains into sidings and hold them at any specific point to make meets with other trains. So the train crew may not really know who they're meeting or where they're going to meet them at. That's the responsibility of the dispatcher. The crew's responsibility is to, obey the signals and take appropriate action per what the signal is telling them. Should there actually have to be verbal communications between the crew and the train dispatcher, he can do a couple things. He can hold them at a stop signal, and the rules require that if no conflicting movement is apparent and the reason for the stop is not obvious, you're supposed to get off the engine, go to a phone box, and call the train dispatcher. We also have what are called maintainer call lights, which is a white light that illuminates out in the field on the side of an instrument house. And the rule says that any crew member observing that light lit should immediately contact the train dispatcher.
This is train number 63, lead engine number 5751. I have 10 cars. Would like to get clearance west.
Even when designing his electrical system, Mike wanted to incorporate a bit of the past.
Originally, I had intended to go all original electronics with a 514, 506 system, but the weight and the amount of equipment was astronomical. So I devised a method of where I could blend the two types of system and still get the end result that I wanted to. The reason for the blending is these machines weren't quiet. This stuff wasn't the way we think of electronics today, where it's just a green circuit board that sits there, makes no noise, and maybe has a little flashing LED on it. Electrical equipment back in the 40s, 50s, and into the early 60s was very much so electromechanical. You could hear, you could see exactly what the equipment was doing. And back to trying to indulge myself in this time and place that I was never able to experience, every piece of detail from the sound that this machine made to the color of the machine, to the checkerboard light green, dark green linoleum tile, and the canvas green window shade is all, for myself, an effort to try to really truly make it, if you will, my little time machine of I'm actually sitting at Clifton Forge in the dispatcher's office in August of 1965, and other than no cigar smoke, this is as real as it can get.
Mike's motivation for this beautiful layout is simple.
Some people play poker, other people golf, we play trains, and it's a great hobby because I can take all the time to do all of this sort of detail work, and the pride of being able to hold something that, look what I've created, but yet I can invite all my friends over and they can enjoy it as much as I enjoyed building it.